You don't need fancy tools, expensive fertilizers, or the latest garden gadgets to grow strong, healthy plants. What you really need are the time-tested tricks passed down from someone who lived off the land before it became trendy. In this video, we're unlocking 30 of Grandpa's smartest, no-cost gardening hacks. Real, practical fixes that work in any backyard. From using kitchen scraps to repurpose everyday items, these hacks save money, time, and frustration. Whether you're a seasoned grower or just getting started, don't plant a single seed before watching this. These old-school tricks still work for a reason, because they're simple, effective, and built to last. Number 1. Eggshell Calcium Boost. Most people toss eggshells without a second thought, but in the garden, they're a slow-release powerhouse of calcium. Start by rinsing your breakfast shells and baking them at low heat for about 10 minutes. This kills any lingering bacteria and makes them easier to crush. Once they're brittle, grind them into coarse grit. Don't powder them completely. When you transplant tomatoes, peppers, or squash, work a heaping tablespoon of this shell grit into each planting hole. As the shells break down slowly, they release calcium directly where it's needed, at the root zone. This mineral is critical for preventing blossom end rot, which shows up as dark, sunken spots on fruit bottoms. Eggshells also help loosen dense, compacted soil, improving drainage and allowing roots to breathe. Unlike store-bought soil additives, this method introduces no synthetic chemicals and costs you absolutely nothing. It's just a smart way to close the loop between kitchen waste and garden growth. And if you raise chickens, the calcium-rich shells can even go back to them after being crushed, creating a full-circle homestead solution. Grandpa knew this long before fertilizers came in bags. Nature wastes nothing, and your garden shouldn't either. Number 2. Coffee ground nitrogen top dress. If you drink coffee, you've got a free fertilizer sitting in your kitchen every morning. Used coffee grounds contain nitrogen, small amounts of phosphorus and potassium, and organic acids that enrich the soil. For leafy crops like lettuce, beans, spinach, and even roses, this is a perfect boost. After brewing, let the grounds cool and dry slightly. Then scatter a thin ring, no more than a 1/4 inch thick, around the base of your plants. Lightly scratch it into the soil surface so it doesn't form a crust. Earthworms are naturally drawn to coffee grounds. They'll pull them down, improving aeration as they tunnel and leaving behind nutrient-rich castings. Over time, the grounds release nitrogen slowly, feeding the leaves without risking root burn. For best results, top the area with a thin layer of straw or grass clippings to keep the moisture even and prevent drying out. Unlike chemical fertilizers, this method doesn't shock the plants or disrupt microbial life. It's gentle, balanced, and sustainable. Plus, using something you were going to throw away, that's a classic grandpa move. Make the most of what you've got and waste nothing. Number 3. Banana skin potassium tea. Banana peels might seem like useless scraps, but in the garden, they're a gold mine of potassium, phosphorus, calcium, and trace minerals. You can turn them into a homemade potassium tea that helps flowering plants bloom better and fruit bigger. Simply drop 3 fresh banana peels into a liter of rainwater or dechlorinated tap water. Cover the container and let it sit for about a week out of direct sunlight. The water will take on an amber tint as nutrients leach out. Strain the mix and pour about half a cup at the base of fruiting crops, especially cucumbers, peppers, and squash. It's a gentle, organic boost right when they need energy to set flowers and bulk up fruit. Don't toss the soaked peels. Bury them under squash mounds or melon hills, where they'll continue to decompose and feed the soil. No need for commercial potassium spikes when nature's version works just fine. It's an old-school, zero-waste method that delivers targeted results without side effects. This is how Grandpa gardened, smart, frugal, and always a step ahead of the growing season. Number 4. Fish head tomato starter. Before synthetic fertilizers and soil amendments, gardeners turned to nature for a balanced start. And nothing beats fish scraps for raw nutrient power. If you've got access to a fish carcass or even a canned sardine, you can create a powerhouse planting site for tomatoes. Dig a hole about 8 inches deep, drop the fish in, then cover with 2 inches of soil to keep animals away. Set your seedling above that buffer. As the fish breaks down, it delivers a slow-release stream of nitrogen for leafy growth, phosphorus for strong roots, and potassium for fruiting, plus trace oils and minerals that most synthetic fertilizers don't include. The result: faster root development, thicker stems, and early flowering. This technique goes back generations. Fishermen and farmers alike knew the soil would respond best to what nature gave freely. If you're squeamish about raw fish, a can of oil-packed sardines works too. Just remember, bury it deep, plant it smart, and let decomposition do the work. No need to overthink it. Grandpa didn't, and he had some of the healthiest tomato vines you've ever seen. Number 5, stale beer slug trap. Slugs can wipe out young seedlings overnight, especially lettuces, strawberries, and tender herbs. But before reaching for chemical pellets, try this classic trap. Pour some flat or stale beer into a shallow container, like a tuna or cat food can, and bury it so the rim is level with the soil. Slugs are irresistibly drawn to the yeasty aroma. They'll crawl in at night and drown. It's shockingly effective, totally pet safe, and doesn't harm helpful insects if managed correctly. Just check the trap each morning and dump the contents before other bugs or beetles fall in. Refill is needed, especially after rain. This hack works well around raised beds or problem corners where mulch stays damp. Grandpa used whatever he had, usually the last swig of yesterday's bottle, and got clean rows without spreading poison. It's a reminder that most pest problems don't need store-bought solutions, just a little creativity and an eye for simple traps. Number 6, newspaper weed barrier. Weeds compete with your vegetables for sunlight, nutrients, and moisture, but there's a low-tech way to smother them: newspaper. Lay down 6 full pages thick, overlapping the edges so no light gets through. Soak the sheets with water to keep them from blowing away. Then add mulch, straw, wood chips, or grass clippings on top. This creates a breathable, biodegradable weed barrier that lasts all season. Unlike black plastic, newspaper breaks down into carbon-rich worm food, improving soil structure. It also holds moisture in the bed, cutting your need for watering. Best of all, it keeps your garden paths tidy and your rows easier to harvest. Grandpa didn't have landscape fabric, and he didn't need it. He had the Sunday paper, some elbow grease, and common sense. By the time the season ends, the worms will have done their job, leaving you with cleaner soil and fewer weeds next year. Number 7, Epsom Salt Magnesium Rescue. Magnesium is vital for photosynthesis and chlorophyll production, but it leaches from sandy or overworked soils fast. If you see yellowing between the veins of pepper, tomato, or rose leaves, magnesium deficiency might be the cause. 1 tablespoon of plain Epsom salt magnesium sulfate dissolved in 4 liters of warm water makes an excellent foliar spray. Apply it in the evening so the leaves have time to absorb it overnight without sunburn. In just a few days, you'll notice darker green leaves and perkier growth. Do this once a month until the plant sets fruit. You can also sprinkle a tablespoon around the base of each plant and water it in for slow release. It's cheap, effective, and doesn't disturb the balance of other nutrients. Grandpa kept a box of Epsom salt in the shed, not just for sore muscles, but because he knew plants sometimes need a little mineral boost too. Number 8, baking soda mildew shield. Powdery mildew is one of the most common fungal issues on squash, melons, and cucumbers. It starts as a white film on leaves and spreads quickly in warm, humid weather. A simple remedy: mix 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a few drops of mild soap, and half a liter of water. Shake and mist this solution on leaves as soon as you see spots. The baking soda changes the pH of the leaf surface, making it inhospitable to fungal spores. It's not a cure, but it slows or stops the spread if used early. Reapply after rain or every 7 to 10 days. This is the kind of low-cost solution Grandpa always turned to. No toxic sprays, just ingredients from the kitchen that worked when applied with care. Number 9, cinnamon rooting powder. Instead of buying synthetic rooting hormones, reach for your spice rack. Cinnamon is a natural antifungal that helps prevent damping off, a disease that causes young cuttings to rot before they root. If you're propagating herbs like basil, oregano, or even sweet potato slips, dip the cut end in ground cinnamon before planting in moist potting soil or sand. The cinnamon protects the stem from fungi in damp environments while the cutting develops roots. It doesn't force growth the way synthetic hormones might, but it creates a clean environment for steady, healthy rooting. It's especially useful in seed-starting trays, glass jars, or any humid propagation setup. Grandpa didn't call it organic propagation, but that's exactly what it was. Number 10, black pepper squirrel deterrent. Young seedlings are especially tempting for curious squirrels, who dig them up, sniff around, and move them out of place. One way to stop them without harm is to use coarse black pepper. After watering a freshly seeded bed, sprinkle a generous layer of cracked black pepper across the top. The scent irritates the sensitive noses of squirrels. They sniff, sneeze, and give up. It doesn't damage the soil or the seedlings, and it naturally breaks down after rain. Just reapply as needed, especially in dry spells. This simple trick works best in beds where fencing isn't practical, or for scattered containers on porches or balconies. Grandpa didn't use repellents with unpronounceable chemicals. He used spices he had on hand, and it worked just fine. Number 11. Fork handle seed depth gauge. One of the biggest mistakes beginner gardeners make is not planting seeds at the correct depth. Some seeds, like carrots and lettuce, need to be planted very close to the surface, around 1/4 inch deep. Others, like peas, beans, and corn, require deeper planting, closer to 1 inch or even more. If you plant too deep, some seeds may rot or never germinate, too shallow, and they dry out or get blown away. Instead of guessing, Grandpa had a clever way to solve this with a tool he already had: a wooden-handled kitchen fork. Take an old wooden fork, one that's sturdy enough to press into the soil, and use a pocket knife or wood burner to carve small notches up the handle every 1/2 inch. You can label these with a marker or just remember the measurements. Now, when it's time to plant, you've got a reusable depth gauge right in your hand. Simply poke the fork into the soil and check how deep the notch goes. This lets you create seed furrows or holes with consistent depth all the way down your row. This tool also doubles as a spacing tool. The tines are evenly spaced, making them perfect for small seed rows like radishes, spinach, or arugula. By dragging the fork through the soil, you can create 4 shallow rows at once, saving time and effort. It fits in your apron or back pocket, and you'll never need to carry a ruler or bend down with a tape measure again. Grandpa believed in tools that lasted. This fork might not look fancy, but it helps you get stronger, more uniform crops by planting with precision. And once you try it, you'll understand how much easier it makes the whole sowing process, especially in big gardens where accuracy really matters. Number 12. Cutmilk Jug Mini Greenhouse. Cold nights are the enemy of young seedlings. Even a light frost can kill tender plants like tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers. And in early spring, just when you're getting started, the weather can turn without warning. That's why Grandpa saved every empty milk jug. With a simple cut and some smart placement, he turned trash into a reusable plant protector. Take a clean, empty 1-gallon plastic milk jug. Using scissors or a utility knife, cut off the bottom, creating a dome that can be pressed over a small plant. Leave the screw-on cap in place for now. When the forecast calls for a cold night, simply press the jug gently into the soil over your seedling. During the day, sunlight passes through the plastic, warming the air inside and protecting the plant from wind. At night, the heat trapped inside acts like insulation, keeping temperatures a few degrees warmer than outside. If the day is sunny and warm, just remove the cap or unscrew it slightly to let the excess heat escape. This prevents the inside from overheating. The jug works as a tiny greenhouse, holding warmth and humidity where your plants need it most. Once nighttime temperatures stay consistently above 10 degrees Celsius, or about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, you can remove the jug and save it for the next season. This method is perfect for gardeners without fancy row covers or cold frames. It's great for isolated transplants or small-scale setups. For larger rows, line up several jugs to form a tunnel, anchoring them with sticks or small rocks. When done right, you can start your warm season crops 2 or even 3 weeks earlier than usual, giving them a big head start on the growing season. Number 13. Aluminum foil reflector mulch. In cooler regions or shady gardens, your plants might get enough light from above but still struggle to ripen fruit or fend off pests. That's because the undersides of leaves and lower branches often stay in shadow, slowing down photosynthesis. Grandpa came up with a brilliant workaround using what most people throw away: aluminum foil or shiny snack bags. Flatten out a sheet of foil or the inside of an empty chip bag with the shiny side facing up. Then place it carefully around the base of heat-loving plants like tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. The foil reflects sunlight up from the ground, bouncing it onto the underside of leaves. This extra light helps the plant generate more energy and can speed up fruit ripening, especially helpful in early spring or during cloudy weeks. But there's another benefit too. Many small pests like aphids and whiteflies rely on shadows to find shelter or sneak under leaves to lay eggs. When sunlight suddenly reflects upward, it confuses their natural behavior and makes them less likely to settle there. The reflection acts like a natural pest repellent without needing sprays or chemicals. Foil mulch also slightly warms the soil underneath, which encourages root growth and helps crops mature faster. Just make sure not to place the foil too close to the plant's base. Leave a little breathing room for moisture and airflow. Weigh the edges down with pebbles or garden staples to keep it from blowing away. At the end of the season, wipe the foil clean and roll it up for reuse. It's durable, lightweight, and fits easily into your gardening kit. Reflective mulch might look odd to some, but once you see bigger fruits and fewer pests, you'll realize it's one of the simplest high-impact hacks you can use. Number 14, Old Gutter Strawberry Channel. Growing strawberries can be tricky if you're short on space or have a garden full of slugs. Strawberries love sun and air circulation, but hate soggy soil and muddy fruit. That's where an old rain gutter turns into a perfect growing system. And Grandpa figured it out long before vertical gardening was trendy. Find a spare length of aluminum or plastic rain gutter, ideally 3 to 5 feet long. Cap both ends using leftover wood, duct tape, or proper gutter caps. Drill several drainage holes along the bottom every few inches. Mount the gutter horizontally along a sunny fence, wall, or railing using screws, metal brackets, or even heavy-duty zip ties. Fill the gutter with a light, compost-rich potting mix that drains well. Plant your strawberry starts about 8 inches apart, gently firming them into the soil. As they grow, the plants will hang slightly over the edge, letting the fruit stay clean, dry, and out of reach of most pests. Because they're off the ground, you'll avoid soil splashes and slug damage. This setup also makes harvesting easier. You won't need to bend down, and you can spot ripening fruit right at eye level. And since you've elevated your strawberries, the garden space beneath the gutter is now free. Use it to grow lettuce, spinach, or herbs that appreciate the shade. In small gardens or on patios, this hack makes the most of limited space. You can even create multiple levels of gutters on a fence to grow more fruit in a vertical layout. When winter comes, you can either unhook the gutters and store them or cover the plants with frost cloth. It's neat, efficient, and surprisingly productive. Exactly the kind of solution Grandpa loved. Number 15, Wine Bottle Self-Waterer. Plants need consistent moisture to stay healthy, but life doesn't always allow for daily watering, especially during heat waves or busy weeks. Grandpa's solution? Turn an empty wine bottle into a self-watering system that delivers water slowly and evenly right to the roots. Start by rinsing out a clean wine bottle. Fill it to the top with water. Take a standard cork and pierce a small hole straight through the middle using a nail, awl, or drill bit. The hole should be small enough to restrict the flow, but large enough to let water escape slowly. Push the cork back into the bottle neck tightly. Then, turn the bottle upside down and bury the neck a few inches deep in the soil beside your plant. As the soil dries out, air bubbles slowly rise into the bottle, which allows water to escape drop by drop. This keeps the soil evenly moist over several days. Most bottles will last between 3 to 5 days, depending on weather conditions, plant size, and soil type. This method is perfect for container plants, raised beds, or thirsty crops like tomatoes, squash, and melons. You can even use larger glass jugs for bigger plants or groupings. It reduces the risk of overwatering and prevents dry spells that lead to blossom end rot or fruit splitting. Plus, it saves time and water. Since the water goes straight to the root zone, there's less evaporation, no puddles, and fewer weeds. And when the bottle runs dry, just pull it out, refill, and replace. It's quiet, efficient, and surprisingly stylish, a low-tech fix that works just as well today as it did in Grandpa's garden. Number 16, Wood Ash Pest Dust. If you've got a fireplace, wood stove, or burn pile, don't throw out the ash. It's a powerful, free garden resource that Grandpa always used wisely. Once the ashes are completely cool, you can sift them and use them around your plants as both a pest deterrent and a natural fertilizer. Ash contains potash, calcium, and trace minerals that help promote flowering and overall plant health. But one of its most useful qualities is how it keeps soft-bodied pests away. Sprinkle a light ring of sifted wood ash around the base of plants that commonly get attacked: cabbage, broccoli, kale, and other brassicas. The dry, powdery texture irritates the bodies of slugs, cabbage worms, and some beetles, creating a physical barrier they won't cross. It's like a natural razor wire for soft-skinned intruders. Plus, unlike chemical pellets, it won't harm pets or pollinators, and it doesn't introduce toxins into the soil. Ash works best in dry conditions. If it rains or you water heavily, the ash can wash away or lose effectiveness, so you'll need to reapply. Don't overdo it. Too much ash can raise soil pH and throw off the nutrient balance. Never mix ash directly with high nitrogen fertilizers or fresh manure. That combo can cause chemical reactions that lock up nutrients or release harmful compounds. Also, avoid ash from charcoal, treated wood, or painted wood. Only use ash from clean, untreated hardwoods or natural brush. You can also mix small amounts into compost or lightly till it into acidic soil to raise the pH naturally over time. But for pest control, a surface dusting works wonders. Grandpa didn't need fancy pesticides. He just used what came from the hearth, and his cabbages were always clean and full of crunch. Number 17, ice cube seed sour. Sowing tiny seeds like carrots or lettuce can be frustrating. They're hard to see, hard to space, and they often clump together no matter how careful you are. That's where Grandpa's ice cube trick comes in. A simple, clever way to sow seeds evenly without wasting time or thinning out crowded seedlings later. Start by taking a clean ice cube tray and filling each compartment about halfway with water. Then add a pinch of seeds, just a few per cube. Give the water a gentle swirl so the seeds settle into the center. Then pop the tray into the freezer. Once frozen, you've got perfectly measured seed cubes, each holding a tiny cluster of seeds. When it's time to plant, just space the cubes along your row. 6 inches apart for carrots, 8 to 12 for lettuce, depending on variety. Drop the frozen cubes onto moist soil, press them gently so they make contact, and walk away. As the cubes melt, the seeds settle exactly where they need to be, already slightly watered and surrounded by chilled, damp soil, an ideal environment for germination. This method not only saves time, but also reduces the need for thinning, which is often tedious and risks disturbing the roots of nearby seedlings. It's great for kids or new gardeners too. There's no worry about dropping too many seeds or planting too deep. You can even pre-label the cubes by writing on the tray or making separate batches per variety. It works especially well for spring crops when the soil is still cool. For faster germination, use warm water when making the cubes and store them in a labeled freezer bag until planting day. Grandpa always found ways to turn ordinary tools into clever solutions, and this one is pure genius in hot or cool climates alike. Number 18, clothespin label system. Keeping track of what you've planted and where might sound easy in the moment, but by the time those green shoots appear, they all start looking alike. Was that parsley or parsnip, kale or collards? Grandpa's fix was as simple as it gets: a box of wooden clothespins and a marker. Start with basic spring-loaded wooden clothespins, the kind you can still find cheap at any hardware or dollar store. Use a permanent marker to label each pin with the name of the crop: tomato, basil, lettuce, and so on. Clip each pin directly onto the rim of a pot, the edge of a raised bed, or even onto a nearby stake or trellis. This method is far better than plastic tags or popsicle sticks, which often fade, rot, or get knocked over by rain and wind. And when it's time to rotate crops or replant, you simply unclip the pin and move it to the new location. No rewriting needed. For added tracking, jot down the planting date on the back of each pin. This helps you monitor germination timelines or harvest windows without needing a separate chart. Clothespins also save space. They're compact, reusable, and easy to store in a jar or tin. If you want to take it further, use color-coded clips. Green for greens, red for roots, yellow for herbs. You can even laminate small photos and attach them for visual references if kids are helping in the garden. Labeling is one of those things that seems minor until it becomes a problem. Grandpa always said, "The garden doesn't remember for you." This clothespin system is affordable, effective, and charmingly low-tech. Best of all, it ensures you always know what's growing where, even when the seedlings are still just hints of green. Number 19, binder clip vine trainer. Climbing plants like pole beans, cucumbers, and peas grow fast and need support. But tying vines with string can be a pain. It's time-consuming, and if you tie too tight, you can damage the stem. Grandpa figured out a better way using something from the office drawer: the humble binder clip. Start with large binder clips, the kind you'd use to hold thick stacks of paper together. Clip one directly onto your trellis wire or garden twine. Then open the metal arms wide and thread the growing vine gently through the curved metal. The plant stays supported but isn't choked or pinched. As it grows taller, you can adjust the clip up or down or open it to reposition the stem. This system is faster than tying and untying string, especially when you're training multiple vines at once. It also reduces stress on the plant since the metal arms flex slightly with wind or growth. Unlike plastic clips that break or degrade in the sun, metal binder clips can last for years. You can reuse them each season and even label them with marker or tape if needed. They're especially handy for trellised cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, or flower vines like morning glories and sweet peas. In windy gardens or tight spaces, these clips hold everything in place without extra tools or materials. When it's time to clean up at the end of the season, just pop the clip off and drop it back in your garden box. It's a great example of using everyday items in new ways, something Grandpa was famous for. With binder clips, training vines becomes less of a chore and more of a quick morning routine. No knots, no stress, just strong, flexible support when your plants need it most. Number 20, PVC pipe root waterer. When watering deep-rooted plants like tomatoes, squash, or fruit trees, most people just spray the surface. But much of that water evaporates or runs off before it reaches the roots. Grandpa's PVC pipe trick changes that. It delivers water right to the base of the roots, cutting waste and making every drop count. Like a 2-foot length of standard PVC pipe, about 1 to 2 inches wide, works well. Cap one end to keep the bottom sealed, then drill several small holes around 1/4 inch wide along the bottom half of the pipe, spaced about 1 inch apart. Bury the pipe upright next to your plant, with the drilled end in the ground and the open top sticking out 6 to 8 inches. When it's time to water, simply pour into the open end. The water flows straight down and seeps out near the roots, where it's actually needed. This deep watering encourages strong root growth and reduces how often you have to water. It's especially useful in hot climates or with water-loving crops like melons or corn. You can also pour diluted liquid fertilizer into the pipe for precise feeding, with no risk of splashing leaves or attracting pests. It's great for conserving water, especially in drought-prone areas. And if you grow in raised beds, this method helps balance moisture throughout the soil layers. PVC waterers are reusable year after year. Just pull them up at the end of the season, rinse them out, and store in the shed. They're tough, reliable, and customizable. You can make them any length you want. Grandpa always believed that the simplest way was the smartest. With a few pipes, a drill, and some planning, you'll never waste water again. Number 21, kitchen towel seed germinator. Starting seeds indoors or in early spring can be tricky. Some take forever to germinate, others don't come up at all. That's why Grandpa used the paper towel trick to test seeds and speed things up. It's a simple method that gives you control over timing and space while avoiding empty rows in the garden. Start with a clean, unprinted paper towel. Plain kitchen roll works best. Dampen it evenly with water, then lay your seeds on one half, spacing them out so they don't touch. Fold the other half of the towel over the seeds to sandwich them in place, and gently press it flat. Slip this into a zip-top plastic bag and seal it shut. Label the bag with the seed type and the date, then place it somewhere warm, on top of the fridge, near a sunny window, or inside a cabinet above a heater vent. Check the bag once a day. Most seeds sprout in 3 to 10 days, depending on variety and age. As soon as you see a tiny white root poking out, carefully remove the seed with tweezers and plant it directly into soil or a seedling tray. This eliminates guesswork. You only plant seeds that are viable, and you skip the disappointment of bare patches in your rows. This method also helps save space. Instead of filling trays with uncertain seeds, you use only what works. It's ideal for testing old seed packets before wasting a whole season on them. For extra efficiency, group several paper towel packets in one large container or baking tray. Grandpa always said to plant smart, not hard, and this method is just that: smart, clean, and efficient. Once you try it, you'll wonder why you ever started seeds the old way. Number 22, tin can soil drainage tester. Before planting anything, it's crucial to know how well your soil drains. Too much water and roots rot, too little and plants dry out. Grandpa had a smart and simple way to test drainage using nothing but 2 tin cans. This test gives you fast insight into your garden's soil health, without needing lab reports or soil probes. Start by collecting 2 empty cans of the same size, like soup or vegetable cans. Remove the tops and bottoms so each one becomes a hollow cylinder. Punch 4 to 6 drainage holes near the base of both cans. Fill one with the garden soil you plan to use, and the other with a known light potting mix. Set both on a tray or patch of bare ground. Slowly pour the same amount of water into each can, about 1 cup, and start your timer. Watch how long it takes for water to completely drain out of each can. If your garden soil takes more than twice as long as the potting mix to drain, it means the soil is too compacted or contains too much clay. This tells you that you'll need to amend the bed before planting. You can lighten it by adding compost, sand, shredded leaves, or other organic matter. On the flip side, if the water drains too quickly, your soil might lack water retention and need more moisture-holding ingredients like peat moss or coconut coir. This test also helps you compare different sections of your garden. Some areas may be better suited for thirsty crops, others for drought-tolerant ones. And because you're using simple materials, you can repeat this test every season or after heavy rainfall. Understanding drainage saves your plants from suffering and helps your harvest thrive. Grandpa didn't need fancy meters, just a couple of cans and a little observation. Number 23, lemon rind starter pot. Citrus peels don't just smell good, they make excellent biodegradable seed starting pots. Grandpa figured this out back when he wanted a clean, organic way to get his herb seedlings going without buying plastic trays. A squeezed lemon half, once repurposed, becomes a mini container with built-in nutrition and pest defense. After squeezing out the juice, rinse the lemon half to remove any sugar or pulp. Take a nail or fork and poke a small drainage hole in the bottom. Fill it with seed starting mix or sifted compost and plant 1 or 2 seeds. Herbs like basil, parsley, or thyme work great. Keep the lemon pot in a shallow tray or egg carton to help it stand upright. Water gently and keep the tray in a warm, sunny spot indoors or in a greenhouse. Lemon rinds naturally break down in the soil, so once your seedling has grown a few inches and shows 2 sets of leaves, you can plant the whole thing, lemon pot and all, directly into your garden bed or larger container. The rind slowly decomposes, feeding the soil and enriching the area around the roots. There's an added benefit too. Citrus oils in the rind help deter gnats and soil pests during the early growing stage. It's a tiny layer of natural defense, and it smells fresh to boot. Plus, if you're starting several seedlings, lemons make the setup uniform, compact, and attractive. Perfect for windowsills or giftable plant trays. You can do the same with oranges, limes, or even grapefruit if you want bigger pots. Just make sure they're firm and not moldy. Grandpa always said to use every part of the plant, even after you've eaten it, and this is one of the cleverest ways to put that philosophy into action. Number 24, old t-shirt wicking strip. Watering container plants regularly can be tough, especially if you're away for a few days or just forget. That's where Grandpa's t-shirt trick saves the day. It turns an old cotton shirt into a DIY watering system that keeps your pots moist without electricity or timers. Cut the shirt into long strips about 1 inch wide. You'll need 1 strip per pot. Fill a large jar or plastic container with water and place it higher than the plant containers, on a ledge, brick, or overturned pot. Now, take 1 fabric strip and place one end deep into the water jar. Lay the other end into the soil of the potted plant, pressing it down near the center or root zone. The cotton acts like a wick, slowly drawing water from the jar and releasing it into the pot as the soil dries out. It's a passive system that relies on capillary action, not pressure or gravity. Depending on humidity and plant size, this setup can keep soil moist for 2 to 4 days. Sometimes longer. It's great for herbs, hanging baskets, or raised bed edges that dry out quickly. You can run several strips from 1 large water source to multiple pots. And because it's just cloth and water, there's no danger of overwatering or spills. Make sure to use 100% cotton. Synthetics don't wick as well. If the strips dry out or get dirty, toss them in the wash and reuse. This is a great second life for stained or torn shirts that aren't fit for wearing anymore. This kind of low-tech watering solution proves that the simplest materials, when used creatively, can outperform expensive gadgets. Grandpa didn't throw out anything he could reuse, and now your plants can benefit from a forgotten t-shirt too. Number 25, vinegar ant detour. Ants in the garden may seem harmless at first, but when they start building nests near your crops or farming aphids on your plants, they quickly become a problem. Grandpa had a natural, effective way to handle them, using a mix of vinegar and citrus peels to mask their scent trails and break up their communication lines. To make the spray, start by soaking citrus peels, like lemon, orange, or grapefruit, in white vinegar for about 2 weeks. Use a glass jar with a lid and keep it in a warm, dark place. After steeping, strain out the peels and dilute the vinegar mixture with an equal part of water. Pour the solution into a spray bottle and apply it directly to ant trails, nest entrances, and areas around your garden beds where you see activity. Ants navigate by scent. This citrus vinegar solution overwhelms those chemical trails and causes disorientation, forcing them to abandon the path. It's especially helpful around melon beds, bean rows, and raised beds where ants often set up shop or protect aphid colonies. The solution is safe for your plants and the soil, though avoid spraying it directly on delicate leaves, especially in hot sun. For acid-sensitive crops like spinach or blueberries, use it around the border rather than near the base. This spray works best when reapplied every few days or after rain. It also deters some soft-bodied pests like gnats and fruit flies, making it a great multi-purpose repellent. Grandpa didn't need pesticides. He just used kitchen scraps, a little thyme, and nature's own signals to keep pests at bay. Number 26. Carpenter Pencil Plant Spacer. Spacing plants evenly might not sound like a big deal, but it's key to a healthy, productive garden. When plants are too close, they compete for sunlight, nutrients, and air circulation. Too far apart, and you waste valuable garden space. Grandpa solved this problem using a tool every handyman had lying around, the good old carpenter's pencil. Take a flat carpenter's pencil and lay it on a table. Using a ruler, mark off common spacing intervals right along the long edge. 4 inches, 6 inches, 8, and 12 inches. Use a permanent marker or a pocket knife to make visible marks. You now have a durable, reusable spacer stick that doubles as a planting guide. When laying out a garden row, place the pencil in the soil at one end and mark the next planting spot using string or small pebbles. Stretch a string across the bed and press the tip of the pencil into the dirt at the spacing you need. For tightly spaced crops like radishes or carrots, the 4-inch mark keeps things tight but tidy. For larger crops like broccoli or cabbage, use the 8 or 12-inch marks. The flat design of the carpenter's pencil makes it easy to press into the soil without rolling away, and the pointed tip can even be used to make shallow holes for direct seeding. If you're starting a square-foot garden or using intensive planting methods, this tool gives you fast, accurate layout lines without complicated math. You can even write planting notes on the back of the pencil with a marker, dates, varieties, or reminders. It fits in your apron, won't break like plastic rulers, and can take a beating season after season. Grandpa believed in using one tool for many jobs, and this simple pencil keeps your garden rows straight, organized, and efficient every time. Number 27. Gutter Spike Hoe Extension. Working in large garden beds can be tough on your back and knees. Reaching into deep rows or weeding around broadleaf crops often means bending, stooping, or kneeling for hours. Grandpa wasn't about to waste time or strain his back, so he made a custom hoe using a telescoping gutter cleaning pole and an old hoe head. Start with a solid old hoe blade. Metal is best, even if it's rusty. Clean off any dirt and remove the wooden handle if it's cracked or worn. Next, take a telescoping aluminum or fiberglass gutter pole, the kind used for cleaning second-story gutters. Attach the hoe blade to the end using strong bolts or heavy-duty hose clamps, depending on the size and fit. Once assembled, you now have an adjustable length hoe that can be shortened for close beds or extended for wide rows. This lets you weed from a standing position, reaching 3 to 5 feet across a bed without stepping in the soil. No more compacting your carefully prepared garden or crawling between rows. The extended reach is also perfect for chopping weeds around large squash plants, corn stalks, or sunflower beds. And when you collapse the pole, it becomes compact enough to store in your shed or hang on a wall. You can even swap out different heads, cultivator, rake, or weeder, using the same pole as a base. This tool hack saves your body, your soil, and your time. Grandpa always said your back should last longer than your weeds, and this extension hoe proves him right. It may look a little odd, but once you use it, you'll wonder how you ever gardened without it. Number 28. Hair Clipping Critter Fence. Animals have powerful noses, and that's exactly what Grandpa used against them. Whether it's rabbits nibbling your beans or deer trampling your greens, one of the most effective and natural deterrents is something most people throw away: human hair. Collect hair from your brush, a home haircut, or even ask your barber for a bag. They'll usually give it for free. Stuff handfuls of the hair into old mesh-produced bags, pantyhose, or cheesecloth. Tie the tops shut and stake the bags around your garden, placing them at nose height for rabbits, about 12 to 18 inches, or higher for deer. The scent of human hair signals danger to wild animals. It doesn't need to be fresh or sweaty, just present. Most critters smell the human scent and choose to forage somewhere else. It's non-toxic, silent, and doesn't require reapplication like sprays. Replace the bags every few weeks or after heavy rain. Once the hair loses scent, toss it into your compost pile. It breaks down slowly and adds nitrogen. This trick is especially useful in rural gardens or homesteads where fencing isn't always practical. You can also lay loose clumps of hair directly on the soil around plants like beans or lettuce. It helps block slugs, adds light mulch, and makes rabbits think twice. Don't have enough hair? Pet groomers or animal shelters might be willing to give you fur clippings, which work similarly. Grandpa believed in using what nature gives us, and this hack is a perfect example. Simple, sustainable, and surprisingly effective. Number 29, Pebble Jar Wind Rattle. Cabbage moths are sneaky little pests. They lay eggs on your broccoli, kale, and cabbage leaves, and the tiny green caterpillars that hatch eat your plants from the inside out. Grandpa's solution? Noise and motion. Delivered by an old jar, a handful of gravel, and some garden string. Take a clean glass jar with a screw-top lid, something like a mason jar or an old salsa jar. Put in a tablespoon of small pebbles or gravel, enough to make a soft clattering noise when shaken. Punch 2 small holes through the lid and thread wire, string, or twine through to hang it like a wind chime. Now suspend the jar above your brassica beds or around plants prone to moth attack. As the wind blows, the jar swings and rattles. The sound, combined with the movement and light reflection from the glass, startles moths and disrupts their egg-laying behavior. It's not 100% protection, but it drastically reduces infestations without using sprays or row covers. Move the jars to a new spot every few days, so pests don't adapt. For extra effect, hang multiple jars with different pitches or shapes for a more varied disturbance. It's also an attractive addition to the garden, natural-looking, handmade, and surprisingly pleasant-sounding in a breeze. At the end of the season, remove the jars, dump out the stones, and store them for reuse. Grandpa's rattles didn't need power, batteries, or timers, just a little wind and a smart idea. And your cabbage will thank you for it. Number 30, Shadowboard Tool Organizer. Garden tools disappear. One minute you have your trowel, the next it's buried in a bed or forgotten in the grass before a rainstorm. Grandpa never lost tools, not because he had fewer, but because he had a system. His shed was lined with a homemade shadowboard, and it made organizing effortless. Start with a sheet of plywood cut to fit the inside wall of your shed or fence. Lay out your tools, hand trowels, pruners, dibbers, clippers, and trace their outline onto the board using a marker or black paint. Hang the board vertically and install hooks, nails, or straps at each shape to hold the matching tool. Now, when a tool is missing, you see it instantly. There's no guesswork or searching. The empty shape tells you what's gone and what needs to be put back. It's a visual checklist that saves time and prevents rusting or broken tools left out in the rain. You can organize by type or task. Pruning tools in one row, digging tools in another. Add labels if you want, or assign each family member a section. It also encourages kids or helpers to return tools where they belong, building good habits and saving money in the long run. Shadow boards are easy to update, cheap to make, and satisfying to use. Grandpa always said, "A tool not put back is a tool lost." With this board, your shed stays clean, your gear stays dry, and your garden work gets done faster.